stop some of the payments that we're making to other countries, or bring refugees over from other countries, or bring some of our boys home from Iraq and Afghanistan. We're supporting all the rest of the world. Why can't we support us for a while?
Our government's let us down, there's no question. How did we get in this mess?
You're talking about the economy.
Yes,
yeah.
in a whole,
Yeah.
you know, why have employers been able to just say, hey, we're gonna let you go and hire someone who's making half as much after 30 years, you know, or whatever. NAFTA, as we discussed, you know, we let everyone bring their products over and we pay them
Right.
to make their products, and all of a sudden we have no jobs.
Right.
Or it wasn't all of a sudden, it's been leading up to this.
Right.
You know, give this guy some credit for the fact that, yes, a lot of people are saying, where is the money coming from?
Right.
You know, you can't keep printing money and expect it to solve the problem.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and believe there's no question that is the case, and the mess that we're in. This is a broader discussion, which let me just address that briefly, and we can talk further about it. And I think you can we'll have the media here that you can talk to as well. But there's no question that we've seen this economic meltdown that has occurred that has had such ramifications with everybody. Part of it is what we saw was in work that I do in the Congress. I sit on the Financial Services Committee, which oversees banking and insurance and the financial side. And we saw this unbridled greed on Wall Street that made a lot of money for themselves and destabilized the economy to an incredible extent that we're now all paying the price for that as those pieces crumbled. So picking up from it is very difficult, and we need to move forward. So there's a number of fronts to do it. One, we need to have regulatory reform of our financial institutions, our big banks and the big investment folks, which we worked in. We passed in the House in December, which is something that I spent most of the last year involved in, is regulatory reform, which is very important. You're right about trade policies too, is that in my mind one of the biggest problems that we've had as this country is that we've let manufacturing all go overseas. The United States has built this country because we built stuff, we made things here. It's a strong manufacturing sector that we've let all go to offshore at cheap labor and other things across the board. We were talking earlier before with some of you about trade policies with Japan, for example, where we have trade policies on the cash for clunkers, where we play by the rules that are there and let everybody in, and then other countries exclude the United States and they don't play by the same rules. We can't allow that. We've got to enforce trade rules that if they are there, you can't let companies engage in unfair subsidies of industries or rules that hurt us. So that all has to be done, and taking those steps will take some time to fix. But I think we've been put on this wrong track, and our goal now is to get us back on the right track, which means having a regulatory reform for financial institutions. It means fair trade policies that put us on an even footing, that'll let American workers compete with other folks in the world. We can out-compete anybody in the world if you've got fair rules. If the rules are stacked against us, it's pretty hard to do that. But if you've got fair rules, I have no doubt that American ingenuity and American workers are going to be able to beat anybody. But we've gone away from that. We've got to get focused on that. And that's one of my focuses in Congress, is particularly the manufacturing sector. And we know we've got to diversify the Michigan economy. It's not just manufacturing. But at the same token, you can't let your core industry disappear. That's why we needed to fight for autos. And it's been a frustration of mine as well that a lot of people outside of the Midwest don't understand the importance of the American auto industry for this whole country. To me, the American auto industry is not about Michigan. It's not about the Midwest. It's about the whole country. And it's a strategic industry that's important for manufacturing generally. And so we needed to have that support. And now we're starting to see that stability, but we need to go further. And that's the focus. That's why I'm working on things like the Advanced Vehicle Technology Act, which I passed, that will help engineers, keep our engineers here in Detroit. We've got a great resource in Michigan. We have more engineers, more engineering talent in southeast Michigan than any other region of the country. And people kind of look at Michigan as the smokestack and factory state, and we have those and we're proud of them, but we're a lot more than that. We've got incredible engineering talent which can bring in, but we've got to keep those engineers here. And so we got to make sure that there's public-private partnerships that allow those engineers to go forward. So I could go on and on, but I know this is focused on unemployment. It's a perfect question. It's a very, very important question, but maybe we should start wrapping that up.
I'm still off the beat here on the unemployment, but I did work at GM, and
Yes.
I support you on that because we have the best engineers in the world. And our engineers were re-engineering stuff that they sent overseas
Yeah.
because they couldn't do it.
Right, absolutely, yeah, there's no question about it, we've got that.
They're finding out that doesn't work. You send your engineering overseas, and we have to re-engineer it.
Yeah, when it gets over there, right. Yeah, so we gotta build from that strength, and we gotta, keep fighting to keep those jobs here, and we can continue to be the center of advanced manufacturing too. That's why it was important, I was involved in making sure we were able to keep that Orion plant in Lake, was it from Lake Orion? Lake Orion, the Orion plant was so important, because not just the jobs, although that was extremely important, it's 1,500 jobs, but even more important than just the jobs is the fact that that factory will represent the next generation advanced manufacturing processes.
Yes.
So that's future jobs, not just in autos, but whether you're building wind turbines or anything else that's machine oriented. You want to have that technology in your area, you want to have the engineers, you want to have the workers, the skilled workers that know how to do that kind of stuff. And then those jobs that are in those factories and all those engineering shops also mean jobs in restaurants and salons and stores, and it's all the spillover of them. Every manufacturing job has the highest leverage of other jobs than any other sector. The service sector doesn't have the same leverage that you have in the manufacturing job. Every manufacturing job means a lot of other jobs that are needed to support all those activities. So that's our focus.
Congressman Peters, I also have 20 years experience in auto industry. What can we do as the public? Those of us who worked in the auto industry know how important, know all the talent that is out there. Is there anything that we can do to help Congress, anybody, the Senate, to know all the talent we have here and to bring those jobs, if we can, back? Like we have this strong pool of talent here in Michigan, and we know the backbone, and we know we need the other jobs and everything. Is there anything we can do?
Well, continue to being active in the process, like the fact that you're out here today, willing to tell your stories on this issue of unemployment is important for people to know that. We got to continue to get that message out all over the country, as well as the importance of that, and make that headway to have those kind of policies, both industrial policies and a manufacturing policy. We haven't had a manufacturing policy really in this country, and we need to move towards that. So people's activity in the political process is going to be important. And talking to your friends all around the country and other places that you have family and others, it's important to build that kind of support for us to go forward. But we will continue to, any ideas also that you have as to what we should be doing here in Michigan. I don't have all the ideas. My job is to be your advocate in Washington. Where my best ideas come from tables just like this with folks sitting around the table and giving me ideas as to what we need to be doing as a country, because the only way we get through these really rough times is what Americans do best, and that's all coming together. Coming together is going beyond partisanship, going beyond these games like we're seeing with the unemployment. Try to transcend ourselves, move beyond that, and getting together and everybody contributing those ideas. So any ideas that you have that can help us here in Michigan, we're all ears, and we'll be your advocate in Washington.
So I encourage my friends to write their Congress and, about unemployment, do the same thing as far as, for jobs.
For jobs and ideas that you have, things that we should be doing, things that don't make sense. I mean, that is important, because you're the think tank. Everybody here is the think tank, as I say. The best ideas come from folks on the ground who are dealing with this every single day, and it's important for you to be involved. So with that, I think we'll wrap up this more formal part of our discussion, and I know we have some members of the press who probably want to talk to maybe some individuals, I suppose, and hear their stories personally about how important unemployment is and why this extension is important. Or maybe we can get some general questions, I guess, from